It's my Star War.
It's the one. Oh my God! It's fucking Lagan, babe. It's literally the scene. Look, that's the Amir Khan Star War.
We have to talk extensively about this scene.
Okay.
How are you?
I am refreshed.
Yeah.
And rejuvenated.
Good weekend?
Great weekend.
Should I talk about my cinema experience?
Yeah, hit me.
Yeah, because you did, yet again, you were like, I don't want to see this movie. I hate stuff.
I hate cinema, and that is why I run.
I got a podcast today about hating cinema.
Yeah.
You have famously said that all good movies stopped after 2012.
Yes.
And by that, I mean the film 2012.
Yes.
By Roland Emmerich.
Thank you for remembering that. That is actually correct.
That's always been something that you've said. I saw the Bikeriders last night.
Oh, first impressions.
Vroom Vroom. That's my first impression.
Hey.
I liked it. It was good.
Hell yeah.
You didn't miss much by the cinema experience of it.
Okay.
It was nice that it was like deliberately ripping off Scorsese in like all the good ways. How much do you want me to tell you about it?
Give me your highlight of like what it made you feel versus what you thought it would look like.
What it made me feel was that there's like, in that movie, there's like 3 characters who are super concerned and obsessed with Austin Butler's character.
Okay.
Who is the most boring man on earth. So by the end of the movie, I was often wondering, like, why are they so concerned about this guy?
Right.
But like, it's a good movie. And I have to say, I think Austin Butler is our new Jared Leto, which is not a good thing in my opinion.
Oh my God.
But this is maybe my favorite thing that he's done, and he works for it. But Tom Hardy is really good in it.
Nice.
Jodie Comer does not work for me. What she's doing in that film was not working for the J word. John.
Oh.
Me.
From the other J word, Jodie. So she's got a southern accent in it. Like
it's like a Midwest. Chicago accent. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And we know her to be the queen of impressions, or like accents at least, from Killing Eve, I think. I don't know if you saw it, but
no, I would never watch something with Sandra Oh in it.
Okay.
I've always said that.
Oh, God.
I've always fiercely maintained that.
You're just missing out on
ER.
29 years of Grey's Anatomy, but I think you'll be okay. Probably 35 at this point.
My whole life
It is my Bible. Yeah. No Jodie, hey?
Jodie Comer is a great actress. Like I
hands down, absolutely.
Absolutely. I think the most recent thing I can think of, she was in The Last Duel. I think she's fantastic in it. She's really, everyone in that film, The Bikeriders, is doing a thing, which is fine. Mike Faist is having terrible facial hair. That's his thing in that movie. Jodie Comer is doing this voice, and you can watch the trailer and find it. But like, I said it in the trailer. I was like, that is not working for me.
I think the trailer, which is why I try to avoid it, was a big deterrent to me not wanting to, see the movie. Mm-hmm. And so, from hearing from what you're saying, I didn't miss all that much.
No, but it's worth catching
on TV.
On TV if you see it. On cable, because it's 1995 right now.
Because we got that privilege.
Speaking of trailers, though, I saw the trailer for Nosferatu.
Oh my God! Tell me everything.
I am not a hyperbolic person. I don't think that's not true. But with trailers, like, I'm very rarely a person who's like, that movie looks like it's gonna absolutely blow my hips apart when I see it. Mm-hmm. I rarely say that about movies. I'm usually like, I'll wait and see.
Yeah.
There's lots of really bad trailers out there for good movies, and lots of good trailers for bad movies. Nosferatu looks like it's gonna be the best movie of forever, like ever. It looks. I say this with hyperbole. It looks incredible.
Oh my God. Yeah. When you texted me that, actual chills, because I didn't know it was already time to anticipate the Ferratu.
No, it's not coming out till Christmas. It looks like it's going to be amazing. And I have mixed feelings about Robert Eggers. He's the Jodie Comer of directing. I'm just kidding. No, I love Robert Eggers and he's amazing.
Fuck
but
yeah.
I do, like, there's certain, like, I have mixed vibes about some of his films. And I think this movie will be easily the best film of the year.
I'm so excited.
Calling it now. I can't wait to see it.
Christmas, better than Christmas. Nosferatu.
2024.
Yeah.
Speaking of Austin Butler, today we're covering a film that has nothing to do with Austin Butler, but is kind of the Austin Butler
It
of
is
cinema.
the Austin Butler of films.
And can I explain why?
Yeah.
This film, The Rise of Skywalker, is like if you were like dating someone really pretty,
Yeah.
and people are like, damn, that person is like really hot. And you're like, I know. And then they open their mouth and you're just like, okay, okay, quiet here. Quiet, honey. All right, now, you sound like an idiot. You sound kind of dumb.
And they talk about chemtrails the rest of the time.
Yeah, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, I mean, sometimes beauty is on the inside. Because The Rise of Skywalker is a movie that
It's like
is
a hot girl.
so obscenely well made.
Yeah.
And yet every time someone opens their mouth, you're like, okay, let's just quiet, pipe down with the explanation, please. But it's okay. That's enough. Okay. Exegol. Yeah. That's enough. That's a dumb line. I give you this. You allowed a few of those. And then as it goes on, you're just kind of like, I wish no one would talk in this movie. I wish this was a silent film.
I feel like the only thing missing from this film is sound effects from The Mask. That would complete the tomfoolery with which they deliver the dialogues. Everything is like, oh, they didn't do that, did they? Wah, wah. Oh, fucking whoop, whoop. That's all it needs. It's
also,
so fucking silly.
Also, like 4 times in 20 minutes, people are like, if this mission fails, it's all for nothing. They literally say, fucking C-3PO says it.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so there. And there's like a part too where when they decide that they have to robot surgery C-3PO's head.
Yeah.
Like fucking John Boyega, who I think is one of the most disrespected people in cinema at this point. He's like, all right, guys, we're all in this till the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, is someone going to walk away at this point? Like, what are you talking about? Like, is Rey going to be like, you know what, actually, I'm going to check out at this point? Like, she should have, but also, it was just, it's such a fucking movie.
It's crazy because it has our Father in Heaven, Oscar Isaac, who just kind of phones it in. He like, I know this bullshit for the, silliness that it is. And I'm going to show up one day and do all my scenes. And then you probably won't see me for the rest of the film.
Oscar Isaac definitely gives the vibe that every take, he at the end of it, he was like, I mean, well, what the fuck was that? He was like, he's like, wait, what am I saying?
Yeah.
Why am I saying that? Oscar Isaac is an incredible actor. And I'm sure I'm sure everyone gave their all in this film. And I'm sure that they're all professionals. I'm just making japes and jokes about them. But it is a little bit like, you're just kind of like, oh my God, it's so brutal. And the thing is, I like this movie.
Me too.
I think it's way better than The Last Jedi.
Can I say that when I saw some parts of this film just with subtitles, no audio, I think I almost cried in one of those scenes.
Hell yeah. When Lando and Wedge show up at the end, I teared up in the theater.
Right?
I mean, when when Lando comes over the comm link and he's like, there's more of us, kid. And you're just like, oh God, just Lando, just fly me away to heaven.
There's so many incredible callbacks and all that stuff is there.
But also there's so much nostalgia milking at some points where you're just kind of like, oh my God, like how many lightsabers does this bitch fucking lose? Like, Jesus.
It's like spare chopsticks. It just keeps coming. I hated that so much, dude.
There's like, it's so... It's one of those movies that just like, as you dissect it and you go deeper into each scene, you're just like, what is happening?
I know.
When she like has her lightsaber, she throws it, and Luke, who's a ghost, he catches it and he's like, oh, I better hold on to this. And then he's like, also, you should take this one. It was Leia's. And it's like, she just needs one, man. It doesn't, like, who cares about Leia's? And then right after that, he's like, remember Empire Strikes Back? Here, like he lifts his ship out of the fucking water, and you're just like, oh my God, this is just a cavalcade of nostalgic nonsense.
Yep.
Can we talk about The Last Jedi first, though?
Yes, hit me.
I do not like that film. The more distance I get from it, the more I dislike it. And I think I mentioned this in the solo episode that we did a couple months ago. Or what I didn't mention was this. Rian Johnson, is the director, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I like Knives Out. I liked Glass Onion. You like Knives Out. You hated Glass Onion.
Absolutely.
Absolute respect. That's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
However, Rian Johnson comes in to do Star Wars. And it's like, oh, like Rian Johnson, one of our great kind of indie, but also he's made an incredible sci-fi film, Looper. Like he's going to come in and he's going to take over Star Wars for at least one movie. Like, wow, like what's he going to do? He made a shitty episode of Breaking Bad, and then he made a good episode of Breaking Bad. Like what could Rian Johnson do with this incredible property?
Yeah.
And Rian Johnson's idea was, he was like, for 70% of the film, there's going to be a ship flying in space slowly behind another ship flying in space, and that first ship can't hit it with the laser far enough. And then it's like, how do they resolve that at the end? The other ship turns around and goes super fast into the other one. That was Rian Johnson's idea for the film. And that's what the movie is. And then they're like, how do you spend the other 30% of the film? They go to like a horse racing and casino Las Vegas planet, and it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
And that really bothers me because, again, The Last Jedi is like such an impeccably made garbage pile.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But The Last Jedi seems to be The Last Jedi seems to think it's good. And I don't think The Rise of Skywalker thinks it's good.
Yeah, right away it's like, yeah, we're gonna have a silly goose time. Yeah. This girl's gonna have 40 sabers.
as soon as they do that, like they at the very beginning when they do the light speed skipping through the thing, you know, it's like the first sequence. They're like, boom, they go to a different scene. They go to a different scene. You're like, oh, this is symbolically for what the film is gonna just be.
Yeah,
is just bouncing from set piece to set piece with MacGuffins being found at each one. Almost coincidentally.
Every 5 minutes there is no stakes. Everything is doable. And everyone gets out of any problem.
And every conflict is neither set up nor resolved in any real satisfying way.
No.
It's such a fucking entertaining mess of a movie. I love it. And this continues this will be the third in a row where we've done just a plotless, goofy, well-made film.
Which it goes back to the conversation we had about when something like Pirates has no plot, right? But every cent or every dollar poured into that movie just has such an incredible effect on the viewer that you are like, whatever, story schmory, they're fucking pirates. This is great. That is what I hope for Star Wars. Like someone who's not a expert. I watch it thinking that if this were an independent film devoid of the franchise, would it still be enjoyable and watchable? And 100% Rise of Skywalker is.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones, not so much.
To be fair, this movie makes Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest look like fucking Chinatown. It's like it makes the plot of that film seem like tame.
Yeah.
But I will say, and we've complained about special effects in the past, especially Disney's involvement in special effects being pretty bad in some of their huge films.
Yeah.
This movie looks unreal good.
Stunning.
There's never a true moment in it, mostly because every scene is like half a second long, but never a true moment in it where I'm like, man, they phoned it in on this one. There's the design and the crispness of the picture. It looks unbelievable.
Is this what we're looking at a screen right now where they seem to be in a desert? Is this real?
I don't know, because Disney had they have the big fucking big round room where they're like, you never have to go to a place again. We just create the environment around you, right? And I don't know how much of that was in this film, but I don't. It's so such
impressive.
A
it felt like Dune
made
for a second.
Film. Yeah, I think so. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, right? A universally disliked movie, kinda. At the time, people were like, what the fuck is that? Is this, which is funny because it kind of caps this movie with that movie. But I really like The Phantom Menace for a lot of nostalgic reasons. But another reason I like The Phantom Menace is because, say what you will about George Lucas being like droid soldiers and fucking economics and stuff, the guy is so full of ideas, and yet he doesn't quite execute on them. But The Phantom Menace has so many good ideas in it that you're just kind of like, I mean, in a vacuum, that's a great fucking scene. Pod racing is a great example.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I mean, a lot of this is silly, and the lead up to it and the outcome of it are silly. But the pod racing scene is like, that fucking sequence is unreal.
Hell yeah.
And this movie also feels similar in that it's like they had a bunch of ideas, but they just kind of like splashed them out in a linear fashion.
Yeah.
And we're like, now just write in how they get from
how
A to
they're
B.
connected. 100% you're right. 100%. It feels like some kind of episodic.
It's very episodic.
15-minute per episode show that they strung together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's disjointed where you're like, I thought they were just over there, but whatever. I guess they're here now, and motivations don't matter. And also, everybody's in love with this girl, but she's like, no, bye. Everyone is like getting cock-blocking themselves in this movie. Because there's a moment where Oscar Isaac and Rey argue at the beginning, and you're like, oh, are they going to have kind of like a love-hate relationship? Yeah.
And then Boyega has kind of been setting up that he might have been in love with Rey.
Yeah, he's crushing hard.
And also gives Rose the biggest friend zoning ever depicted on cinema.
It was the hey there, bud.
Oh God, like when they meet again at the beginning, and it was like, wait, she like almost sacrificed her life for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, thanks, slugger, and just like punches her in the arm. And she's like, oh John, you're so lovely. Like but they act like they never were, fucking gonna bone.
Yeah.
And The Last Jedi definitely set it up that they were gonna bone. And I want to say this thing about Rose Tran. That's her name, right? Rose Tran? Actress?
I'm not even sure.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I just know that the fans did not receive her well.
Yeah, what I'm about to say, it does matter. So she faced a lot of like discrimination and hate that was horrible for The Last Jedi. And it's a shame because it's not her fault.
Mm-hmm.
It is Rian Johnson's fault.
For writing
a bad character.
Yeah.
And she is a bad character.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good actress. She's a bad character. But the stuff she went through is just absurd. And when she shows up in this movie, she's so diminished, and you're just like, you just set her up to be a character.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just kind of like, no, she's just fucking Finn's friend zone because Finn met a girl who rides fucking space horses and is like, I like her a lot more.
And then also now in this movie, there's other characters who do the same thing, but to themselves, kind of, where they like,
yes.
Why aren't you following through on your actions?
Yeah, like
and intentions?
Rey like kisses Ben at the end as he dies, and then when he shows up at the end, it's like no one falls in love, which is strange.
So are they all just brothers? Which is worse, because in Star Wars, even that goes the distance. So what is it, Alabama War? Like, tell us.
Look, I'll say it. We're both kind of dancing around the question. Why don't they want to fuck? Okay?
And I kept waiting for it to happen.
John Boyega is like one of the prettiest guys.
Come on.
Rey, just fucking stick your tongue down his throat.
He's there all the time.
With consent.
Of course.
Yeah.
Forcibly.
Yeah. But
with each other.
The most action you see in this film is there's like a lot of droids sticking stuff into each other in this movie, and that's about the most action you ever see.
Speaking of sticking in, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
And I asked you this the other day, but you were thinking on it. Who is, as a fan, such as yourself, who is your favorite Star Wars character? And why is it Jabba the Hutt?
Jabba the Hutt.
I couldn't even finish the question before Jabba the Hutt.
Because he's big and floppy and horny.
So am I. What is that? Why? What do you? Why? He's barely there.
He's super body positive.
Okay. Yes.
And he promotes a good message that even badass criminals can be morbidly obese
and get babes.
You know what though? In Hutt, in the Hutt world, he's like normal. He's like slim.
Yeah.
He's not worrying the Hutt doctors with his body weight.
He's not on cholesterol medication.
Whenever he sees his old pediatrician, he's like, Jabba, you're looking great. What is your secret?
Baby.
And he's like, fucking human ladies and watching them die.
Does he eat them?
No, but he definitely he watches them dance, and then if they displease him, he sends them to the Rancor. You've seen Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah, I don't clock that one part where
I watch it about 4 times a week.
Just that scene. Yeah. You're like, oh my god, bring back the Hutt. Yes.
Really, Jabba is great. He's a great character. I mean, Babu Frick is like the breakout of this
100%
fucking movie, but it's my favorite. Like, in all honesty, it's probably Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just like Obi-Wan Kenobi throughout all of the things, and I'm choosing to ignore the namesake series that he made.
Yeah.
They made of him because it is literally unwatchable.
We do not speak of it.
No, but even despite George Lucas's kind of shoddy writing, he remains an enigmatic character, and he's probably the most well-defined character. So I think that's what I appreciate about him. And Ewan McGregor, he really does well in the face of challenging circumstances in the prequel trilogy, certainly. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. Why, are you partial to any Star Wars guy?
Yeah, fella? Definitely. There's a few. Obviously, from this one, from Rise of Skywalker. The second they said Babu Frick.
Yeah.
And then I did not know what... I did not know what size to expect. And then the size that I got just made my heart so full.
Yeah.
He is perfect in every way.
He's the best, yeah.
He is also just the most wonderful reminder of a simpler time when Gremlins was huge.
But he's also he's a reminder of a simpler time when designing a little marketable freaky character was a huge part of Star Wars.
So good.
Like, that was like George Lucas, the whole legend of him being like, I will give up like all the rights to this movie except for the toy rights. And they were like, that's George, are you on crack? And he's like, well, yes, but also I'll give it up. And then he's like, ooh, how do you like my ranch, bitch?
Hey.
Yeah. Like it was such he's just such a great little fucking guy. I will say, speaking of Babu Frick, I'm pretty partial to C-3PO. C-3PO might be like the most entertaining character in Star Wars.
I think this little guy, BB-8, is my reigning robot champion of all time now.
Yeah.
Just because, look at this little motherfucker, dude. Look at his little. Every time he's happy, he does a little
Rey fucking
dance.
In this like speeder chase scene, there's like a part where Rey is like, BB-8, don't. And then he does a thing, and then she's like, never underestimate a droid. It's like, bitch, you underestimated him. You told him not to.
Yeah.
You didn't believe in this little ball.
You don't even know his powers.
Yeah.
He's just so freaking cute.
He's great. I like BB-8 too. As for like the new characters, it's like.
The one thing with 3PO was like, I thought y'all were like robots who are programmed to sort of talk like humans, right? Or whatever, be relatable.
Yeah.
So when the premise is that, we have to erase his memory for information or whatever, we have to retrieve some secret coded Sith message and that would erase his memory. He does a very dramatic turn around and
tears.
He goes, I'm just
looking at my friends
one last time.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great moment.
I hated it.
I love it.
Because I didn't know that he's never said anything emotional this entirety of the film, right? Or in any other films.
Him and John Boyega kind of get shafted a bit in the sequel trilogy because they don't get as much time because like, I mean, again, Rose Tran's character has to spend time in fucking what's her name from Marriage Story, who's just kind of like, every time I see her in a Star Wars movie, I'm just kind of like, you don't belong here. Like, you're a great actress, but you're just not right for this.
ScarJo? I was kidding.
No, the one who won the Academy Award, fucking from like David Lynch's shit, and what's her name?
Come to me.
She's a great actress. That's why we can remember her name. But like, but 3PO. If you should really rewatch the original trilogy because he gets a lot of play in those.
I've only seen it once years ago, so you're right. It has been a minute.
It's like it is every time I rewatch them, I'm always so like pleased and reminded at how good of a performance, like a voice performance and a written performance it is. Like it's so, and even one of the few brilliant story points of this movie, maybe the only one, is it is very funny and ironic when he can read the knife, but he can't tell them. That's a very Star Wars moment. And this movie is full of very few Star Wars moments. Yeah. And that is a very moment where you're just like, oh, that's the classic shit I want. Yeah. Man. That's the Jabba the Hutt killing a lady.
Oh my gosh.
I've always wanted.
Eat the lady, Jabba.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No. Yes. I can't help but root for Rey in the way they've written this character.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the like OP hero, determined, like righteous character is kind of boring. You don't really got much going for him.
Well, we're gonna disagree on this.
So, but I think this actor specifically, her face, her like mannerisms, whatever she channels, is so pure and defiantly right.
Mm-hmm.
That even when they try to tell us that, oh, she is Palpatine's daughter and she will take over as, I was like, nah, she won't. Look at her. She's a bubble. Yeah. She's a tiny little flower.
I think Daisy Ridley's casting is like genius level.
Yeah.
And I think her performance is fantastic, again, through challenging circumstances.
But I wonder if they had cast anyone who didn't have a baby face and had like more personality to be a hero.
I mean, she's amazing. Like
like I would have believed that, oh, there is a chance she would go over to the dark side. But because she looks so just like unassuming and sweet and gentle, I was just never worried that would happen.
There is like, okay, so there's a thing that, one of the things that bothers me throughout this kind of series is that like Rey like becomes a Jedi, but she's kind of not a great Jedi. And I sometimes feel like when Leia's talking to her, she's like, oh, I didn't finish the training course. And Leia's like, that's okay. Like it's not like you're LeBron James. Like you're kind of like a bad first overall pick. Like you're not great. Because most of like Luke and Obi-Wan Kenobi are pretty badass guys. And you're just kind of like, you're okay. You're doing your best.
You're short round, yeah.
And to be fair, you're like the only Jedi around. So you're the best we got.
Yeah.
And one of the things I miss about the older Star Wars movies is like in these new ones, and especially in this one, there's a lot of like, she can use the Force to do a lot of stuff that's like, that's very convenient for the plot.
Yeah.
Like it's really convenient that like no other Jedi has been able to do that thing, but she can like do a thing that moves the plot along.
Well, it's the Harry Pottering of it.
Yeah. And like in, even again with Lucas in the prequel trilogy, there's a lot more, I think, I thought at least, and people can argue with me, I don't care, but like there's like more rigor applied to the idea of a Jedi. And in these ones, it's like a lot more loose. Like I do feel like whenever Luke pops up, he's kind of like, just do whatever you want, baby. Like, and like Yoda, the Yoda ghost in the background is like, bro, no. Like, but he's just like, you gotta like, you're doing everything right. It's okay. It's all right. You're the Kevin Durant of Jedi or whatever. God. And like it's. And then that's not even to mention that there's so many other plot points in this film where you're just kind of like, that is shockingly convenient that happened. Like one thing I always think about, especially with writing or with critiquing a movie, is like, it's okay. I think one really big coincidence is okay. I think I've said this on another episode, but like one really massive coincidence is kind of okay to get the plot going. In The Force Awakens, for example, he fucking falls on a planet, Finn, and he just happens to be like within walking distance.
Yeah, he finds her right away.
Of Rey.
Oh, like 1 second.
That one coincidence is totally fine.
Yeah.
In this movie,
every 6 minutes,
they fall into a worm tunnel that happens to have the exact object they need.
Yeah, dude.
They go to fucking Zori's planet, and she happens to have the one item that can get them to the next place.
And she sacrifices herself.
And then this is something that people have brought up, but like the way that the Death Star fell in relation to the knife, it's like, well, no one would know that. How would you?
I thought the knife was a product of post-fallen star. I thought like it fell that way, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna craft it exactly the way that it's fallen."
But also, like, why was someone like, "Hey, so you know that big, massive secret? What are you gonna do with it? You're gonna put it on like a password-protected hard drive?"
No.
He's like, "No, I'm gonna write it on a knife." Like, well, what if you lose the knife? It's like, well, what if I lose the hard drive? It's like, I'm gonna put it on my knife. I'm gonna put it on my knife. I always keep the knife with me because I'm a killer.
Yeah, that tracks.
Man, you just lawyered me into existence.
What if I have an Apple instead of an Android? Game over.
Yeah. Always back up your secrets, but like my impression of the knife, and again, this is kind of yada yada in the film, I thought it was like an ancient artifact.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Now, that might be possible.
But now in rewatch, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he did carve it in relation to the way that, but that's so dumb.
It's so extreme.
Like it's so absurd, right? It's a great movie.
I just fucking love it.
It's a lot of fun, man.
It's so fun, but not in a way that I'd be like, oh yeah, this is really good plot, connection, and this is a really good pace is excellent. Stuff keeps happening every 30 seconds.
Yeah, because every time they slow down and use their words, you're just like, okay, shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Get to the next shit.
Oh my God. Yeah, we get it. Oh yeah, okay. The fucking, if this mission fails, it's all for nothing. Yeah, we get it. We fucking get it. You said it 3 times. Yeah.
I just want to have Babu Frick show up every 30 minutes. Hey.
Yeah, he's the best.
I think is the little guy.
They're always making fucking miniseries about the wrong characters in the Disney universe, and it's like Babu Frick should be the only character, really.
I just want to kiss him on the face.
So, okay, speaking of that, the next movie is supposed to kick off a whole new trilogy with Rey as the centerpiece.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I'm totally cool with that. I think, again, like I said, I love Daisy Ridley. I think she's a great actress. I think she's great for this role.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that?
What is left to do?
She's going to rebuild the Jedi Order. That's the whole thing. Now, here's my one caveat. I'm totally cool with all that. I think that's great. I think they should do it. I hope that they do it with kind of exploring different types of conflicts, and they don't just like bring back like, not that he would say yes, but like I just hope they don't bring back like Oscar Isaac and all these people. Like I hope they keep the nostalgia to a minimum, and then maybe they make some new thing,
new characters, new exciting.
Yeah, the only character I want them to bring back is John Boyega, because again, I feel like he was the breakout of Force Awakens.
He barely got any screen time.
And then they swept him aside.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So, okay. At the end of this film, and I know we'll talk plot at some point, but just when the main baddie is like, I am all of the Sith.
Yeah.
And then she kills him. There's no more villains left?
This is the thing.
Is he the ultimate villain?
The thing that's always kind of like weird, speaking of the non-rigorous nature of these movies. Okay. So when Luke is the Jedi, right? Like, he's the only one in the galaxy. In Return of the Jedi, it's like he's the only one. Okay. And if he dies, that's it for the Jedi Order. And that's totally fine. And then Luke survives, and he, in the extended universe of it all, he starts to train new people, Kylo Ren being one of them, right? And then, but Kylo Ren is also like then infected by the Sith. He succumbs to the dark side because there's always a chance he's succumb to the dark side and blah, 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 all this kind of thing. But like something big Star Wars fans will know that there can only be 2 Sith Lords at any one time. But a lot of the times the television shows and the movies are like, yeah, but what if there was like 5 to 8? It's like,
oh, what?
Yeah, like that's a thing that's said in episode 1 that's kind of like brushed away.
So there can only be 2?
Only be 2. Yeah.
So when he says I'm all of the whatever, that's just the side show of like 5 or 6 Sith Lords.
He's the dichotomy to Rey, right? Like Rey has all of the Jedi in her, the Jedi voices,
yeah,
and he has all of the Sith voices and stuff like that. But in the Jedi Sith mythology, there can only be 2 Sith Lords, and the expectation is that the biggest, baddest Sith Lord will be killed by their apprentice.
Yeah.
And their apprentice will take on a new apprentice who will then in turn kill them. And it's a vicious cycle of constant power, right? In
like the Jedis, when they died, the ghosts still exist. Like you can come and hold a sword and all that shit. Did the Sith also do that?
Apparently only in this movie. But so Palpatine established that the duology Sith thing, I believe, in like the extended lore of the universe. I think he was the one who was like, it's because Sith are driven by anger and hate, right?
Yeah.
And so, but that doesn't mean they're just like, I'm going to take this all out on Jedi. They kill each other too. Yeah. There's like huge wars where they're like, I hate this Sith guy too because he's a piece of shit. And then so they establish a dichotomy where it's kind of like, look, if we want to move forward with the Sith agenda, we should just consolidate power into 2 people.
This is just an HR meeting at this point.
Yeah. So that's my nerdy shit about Star Wars.
That's cool though.
Yeah, but in this movie, the confusing thing, this is ultimately like we're doing a thing that I find kind of pointless because really the answer is that like the idea that Palpatine is alive is really dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if they were going to do this is what I've always, my harsh criticism of this film was like, if they were going to have him alive the whole time, why didn't they just say at the very first film, like hint that it was going to happen? But all 3 films seemed like they had no real consolidated plan.
Yeah.
And so when he's like, Palpatine's alive, you're just kind of like, what? Like, when? He fell down an endless shaft, and then that shaft fell onto a planet. Like, what happened? How did that happen? So
even when you see him get blown to dust now, I'm like, what if there's like one single cell organism,
one little dust who's like, I'm still alive,
singular palp, just patining somewhere, and he comes back. And maybe that is what the next Rey franchise villain would be.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not talk about the Palpatine of it all because it's such a bad idea.
Yeah,
and then the big problem I have with it is like, even if in this movie they were like, all right, Palpatine's going to come back, I would hope that someone would be like, oh, so it's going to be like a big reveal, right? It's like, it'll be a pretty big reveal. It's like, really? Yeah. Like, how far into the film? Like, the first 30 seconds will tell people. It's like, how? The opening crawl. Like, we're gonna literally, the first thing you see will be the biggest surprise that could have actually happened in this series. And they do away with the suspense too. So not only is it a dumb idea, it's poorly handled. And that is not even very original criticism because everyone feels that way. Everyone who's a fan of Star Wars knows that that's dumb. I get that. But what were we talking about? Like the Palpatine...
Like who would be the villain for Rey to have their own movie?
Another Sith Lord, I guess.
Right? I mean, who else?
It's a big galaxy, right?
Okay.
And, like the Jedi, they had their fucking books, apparently, which then she burned. So there's ways to learn about it. If you've played Knights of the Old Republic 2, you'll know that there's a big planet with tombs of Sith on them that they can go and commune with and learn from. So, like... There's lots of extended Sith lore where people could be like...
Okay.
But I just hope that maybe it would be more interesting for the movie to, instead of being like, Rey's trying to create the Jedi Academy, and also there's a big fleet of Star Destroyers, and it's like, oh God, we're doing this again? Like, it would be nice if it took a more creative direction. That's really dumb to hope for, I know, but like, it would be cool,
That's it. It made it seem like toward the end when Oscar Isaac's character is like, oh, there's too many of them. And it was an infinite number of like Sith warships or whatever, right? It seemed like millions.
Yeah.
I thought that was because that is the entirety of the bad guy's side.
Well, it kind of is.
So when Rey kills Palpatine and then all the ships kind of go off, all the bad ships also kind of collapse, and
well, not really, like they get destroyed manually with like shooting them. But they're just stuck in that planet forever.
Got it.
The thing that's also absurd about the film is that like Palpatine's like, I've made 1 million warships, and it's kind of like, where'd you get 1 million people to pilot them? Like, truly, like more than that. Like, it's such a silly, while visually exciting idea. It's
what if it's droids?
It's practically absurd. No, because when you look on board, it's fucking what's his name?
Yeah.
Who's and like it's just practically like doesn't make any sense. And like so that's a problem. But also I found even when you go back to The Force Awakens and you sweep away all the excitement of a new Star Wars film coming out, even the idea that they're like, oh, in Return of the Jedi, they like killed all the Imperials, right? And it's like, yeah, they did it. And it's like, yeah, except for like a huge army of them who are like, oh, we'll just take these ships and we'll be a new type of the same thing. And so it feels like Return of the Jedi is kind of like, oh, okay, I guess I'll fuck off then. And it's like,
you know what?
And it's like, yeah, but they don't have the Death Star. It's like, yeah, but they have a planet the size of a Death Star with a huge gun. Like,
I think just by virtue of being a franchise that has to carry on and always have a protagonist and always have a big villain, all similar franchises fall victim to the same thing. The Avengers suffer from it.
Yeah. There's
never a big villain. There's always a bigger villain. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
I think with Harry Potter too, to some degree,
we talked about this with Fantastic Beasts.
Thank
right?
you. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's another one where it's like, okay, so then there's always a fucking guy you gotta fucking. But hero,
there's always a dark wizard who's like racist. Yeah. Like that's like the ultimate big bad of those films. Yeah.
He's anti-blue.
And behind it all, the puppet master is a turf from the island of Britain.
Fucking but Christ.
No, I see your point. And that's the thing is I want the Star Wars movies to be more creative in that regard.
But then isn't it just like the foundation of like limited creativity in that we've exhausted all the avenues of storytelling, and there's, like you said, like 6 or 7 premises that make a story. I don't even know. Like, what could be a thing that could be...
Well, this is why people who get hired to write films for Disney get paid a bunch of money, so that they could come up with stuff. Like I know it's like, I hope against hope that, and okay, to be fair, The Mandalorian felt fresh when it came out. This is totally fine. I think after every episode ended up being the fucking same, I was a little bit like, okay, that's enough. One season was plenty. And like, I was never going to watch Ahsoka, and I probably won't watch The Acolyte. But like, to be fair, I couldn't finish the Obi-Wan series. To be fair, maybe they are doing more interesting things. Like the Obi-Wan series seemed to have kind of an interesting premise going for it. Yeah. And except for the fact that it just seemed like badly made, acted, and written. And fucking Andor too, right? Yeah. Like they have like creative ideas and premises, and even The Acolyte, the one-line pitch of The Acolyte, like that sounds kind of cool.
What was the one-line pitch?
That it's like a mystery it's like a murder mystery.
Oh.
About Jedi, and I think, and apparently it's good, and maybe one day I'll watch it, maybe. But my hope is that if they're going to be like, all right, another $250 million huge film.
Yeah, man.
Let's like have some fucking fun with it. At least when I watch the prequel trilogy in light of the sequel trilogy, I'm at least kind of like, I get that people don't care about the economics of having a trade blockade of this planet, but it's a little more interesting than just being like, every fucking movie is like, there's a big ass fleet we got to take care of.
This felt like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And there's some silly goose fucking moments, and then there's a quirky character, and then at the end, the good guy wins.
My complaint about Guardians of the Galaxy, too, if I remember, I've only seen that movie once because I did not like it. But my complaint about it was like, they were like, oh, it's like a kind of like a fresh, kind of fun superhero
doesn't take itself seriously.
Marvelly sci-fi movie that's like goofy and silly, good acting and stuff. And then at the end of it, they're just kind of the big thing of it is like, God, these people are going to destroy Earth. And I was like, what? Like, so half of the people on that crew aren't from Earth. Yeah. So why do they care?
Why do they give a shit?
But it was just such a boring.
Well, the Earth always has to be the center of attention because if you can kill Earth, you can kill the whole galaxy. Because that's where Iron Man lives. And you're going to need the guy. Yeah. All right? Who else is going to make nuclear warheads?
ISIS.
Also where Iron Man lives.
All right.
Oh, man.
So I have hope for the future, but very thin hope. Let's put it that way.
A new hope?
Silence. Okay. That's enough out of you. Do you want to talk about the plot?
I do. Because there's some scenes that are fucking bangers. And they're so well done.
I mostly want to talk about those scenes because...
Let's talk about the pivotal...
Plot is like super loose. Yeah. So essentially like, okay. In the beginning, Ren finds Exegol, this planet where Palpatine is, and Palpatine's like, I'm alive. And he's like, oh, cool, I hate you. And... Also, Palpatine in both the movies that he appears in he just is so like such a boner for, he's like, someone kill me.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
Poor
like,
guy.
Dude, kill yourself.
Just moisturize and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
He fucking
do a little exercise, you know?
So much of that, like the high tides and the ocean and the cold rock, all that visual setting.
That's not on Exegol though. That's later.
That's late. Okay.
I want to talk about that too.
Okay, cool.
That's visually amazing.
Beautiful.
Okay, and then so like we have Rey. She's training to be a Jedi. She wants to hear the voices of the Force and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Boyega and Isaac and C-3PO, they're in the Millennium Falcon. They get information about a spy and about this planet on Exegol where Palpatine is returned. Super helpful that someone was like, here, I found this email in a data server that you can have. That someone was like, whoa, shit, Palpatine's back, LMFAO. Like, so they're like, oh, that's bad news for everybody. Yeah. And apparently he has 1 billion ships, and that's cool. They have to find a fucking MacGuffin to get there. And there's only 2 in the world because Ren has the other one.
Great.
So they go to this desert planet where apparently it's hiding. Now, this desert planet, this whole sequence, now that I've seen this movie quite a few times, is such compounding nonsense.
Yep.
at every turn. Every time I rewatch it, I catch something again where I'm like, what the fuck?
Just
like,
for unnecessary.
Well, there's a chase scene too where the stormtroopers chase them on these machines, and it's like, I mean, you guys have had like anti-grav technology forever, and they're like, you know what we need in this? Wheels. Let's use wheels. It's like, what are you talking about? You can have a machine that floats in the air.
No.
You know?
That's like, how will the audience relate? Oh, good.
How will the Midwest relate if they can't understand? How do they float over there?
How do they float over there?
Just the Imperial Army's like, wheels, of course.
Christ.
Yeah, it's bad. And like the guy, like they fall through this thing and then they just find the guy there and they're like, oh, he's got this knife, and the knife has the information on it. It's absurd. And then Chewie not dying. And much like Jack Sparrow, it's like Chewie dies in quotes, and then like a minute later they're like,
it's a different
this
ship.
man has been alive.
So the whole thing leading up to Rey feeling like, okay, so in the desert, there's an incredible scene of when Kylo Ren's, what do you call that ship, comes racing towards her face.
Great idea.
She does a backflip, slices it. Great scene, right? Yeah. It's so fucking impressive.
Did you say she sluts it?
Slices it.
Oh, yeah.
She backflips and slices it, and the wing of the ship comes off, and then she's like, okay, cool, killed a guy real easy. He still comes out of the ship, Kylo Ren, and he's like, oh, I will make sure that we still stay fighting. Meanwhile, on a ship, like you said, Chewie's taking off, right?
Yeah.
By enemies. And so she does the thing where she's trying to bring the ship down with the force of her hand.
Yeah.
And on the other end of the room, Kylo Ren's doing the same, but he's trying to push the ship away. And later he says, I actually wanted to force you to see your own power.
Yeah.
And that's when you see like lightning come out of her hand.
Yeah.
So even though she kills Chewie in her mind by blowing up the ship, she just like, all right, mission, let's continue. Turns around, and then she's out of there. And you don't find out Chewie's alive for another hour.
No, you find out you find out like 2 minutes later.
Really?
Yes.
It felt so long because she was just like, oh, I gotta go do this
she
mission.
She doesn't find out for a while, but you find out.
Oh, right. I just mean
after.
She doesn't. Right.
Yeah.
So she doesn't find out for like an hour, but the entirety of this time, she's like, gonna go kill the guy, gonna become a Jedi.
Yeah. There's another part in it too where Kylo Ren, they're like having one of their patented in two different places conversations, and he's like, he says to her something like, he's like, don't you know why the Emperor always wanted to kill you? And I was like, she didn't fucking know the Emperor was alive until like a day ago.
You just
like,
told her, my
What
guy.
do you mean? Like, she has no fucking clue. Hey, Jodie Comer is in this.
For a moment.
Plays her mom.
She plays her mama.
Yeah.
I thought that's why you brought it up.
No,
Bikeriders,
I'd forgotten because she has like a single line.
And she steals it. She's great in it.
Jodie Comer's a great actress. They go to, they have to do surgery, robot surgery on C-3PO's head. They go to that planet where, what's her name from The Americans plays Zori.
Yeah.
And is just a bad character. Just
annoying. Right away, an annoying character.
Well, just a prop of a character whose only purpose is to deliver that little coin. And the little coin, which is so conveniently the exact thing they need.
She's the manic pixie angry girl.
It's so frustrating because she's such a good actress, man. And what's her name? She's from The Americans. She's fantastic. She's in Antlers. She's great. Carrie fucking whatever.
She's great.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's awesome. She and Oscar Isaac had like a previous love affair, but it all doesn't really matter. They're like sitting on this roof, and as soon as she was like, I got this thing, can get me anywhere. Okay, blah blah blah. He's like, oh, cool, that's neat. Cool.
She says, I can get all of my people and the children who are dying and shit out of here.
Yeah.
And then in 2 minutes later, here, my guy, take this and get this girl out of here.
You should take this to do an incredibly stupid thing.
Well, which has maybe even lower of a chance of happening.
The wild thing with it's like they fly their piece of shit ship, which is basically like a Dodge Dart in the Star Wars universe.
Oh my God.
They fly it onto another ship, and then you're just kind of like, it's like, that's like fucking parking your car at the trash compactor.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh man, it's really hard to get out of here. It's like, well, you parked it in someone else's garage, man.
Absolutely infuriating.
Dumb. And then they end up knowing that they have to go to Endor, the moon of Endor, which is where fans of the series will that's where the Return of the Jedi ended. Okay. So they have to go there, water planet, really beautifully.
Incredible.
Like really cool. Huge waves, just like beautifully designed. It's awesome. Naomi Ackie shows up. She's the woman who with the horses and stuff. I want to talk about her in 1 second. But they show up and yet again, she's like, they like land there and she's like, I can take you out in a boat tomorrow when it's calmer. And it's like, fucking fly there. What do you mean?
Their ship broke, right?
I know, but just fix the ship and fly.
But then
which
they
is
don't
exactly
have
what they
time.
do. I know, but it's so fucking dumb. Like,
I know. That makes sense though, because she doesn't wait for the ship to get fixed. Rey just takes a boat anyway.
Dumbass.
And by the time the ship comes back, the deed is done. Ben is hurt. Like Kylo Ren can't make all this other shit has happened.
That sequence where they have the fight is probably one of the better ones in the movie.
Beautiful,
really
but
cool.
like all that stuff about like, oh, there are limitations to this planet and how to get to the thing is harder for humans such as the men to do, but Rey can do it.
Yeah, she's super powerful.
And so every 5 minutes in this movie, you're reminded of how she's better than every other character in the scene.
Yeah,
and she will succeed.
Mary Sue.
Yeah. So there's no real stakes, even though they have a terrifying tsunami every 3 seconds.
Yeah, she's like been set up as a Mary Sue like kind of since the beginning though. Yeah. Like she could pilot, she could fight, she could do all this kind of shit. Like it's a little. She has very few character limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like I said about the Force, is like it all becomes very convenient to move the plot in the direction that is needed, and that can be a little bit like. The thing that's so brilliant about Luke is like he can be such a dud sometimes, you know. He was such an interesting character because he has foibles, you know.
Yeah.
And and Rey kind of feels like
never fails. She never fails.
Speaking of Naomi Ackie, at the end, she joins the Resistance. She's a good actress. I like her. I think she's good in this. She has limited screen time, and she's good, and she has kind of a little spark with Boyega, which is nice. And yeah, so she joins, and then at the end, like, she has this little spark with Lando, where she's like, "Where are you from, General?" and stuff, and she's like, "I don't know where I'm from." She was essentially a slave. Like,
that was a
much
great moment.
Much like Boyega, which is like a great little setup. But it was like, again, it did this Disney thing where I'm just kind of like, listen, Naomi Akkie's fine in this. We do not need a full fucking movie about her. Can we just like chill on that? And obviously that's not happening. But like they set up this like moment where it's like, something is going to go on from this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, just like tap the brakes on that one. I like her and all, but like if you're going to do that, it's got to be her and Boyega. That would be sick. But instead, Naomi Ackie went on to be in Master of None Season 3, which universally was a great idea.
Oh,
you know,
man.
The one with my favorite actress.
Oh, that's where
yeah.
I didn't even recognize the 2 and 2.
No.
Whoa. What a loss.
Everyone who knows me knows that I think that season was amazing.
You are only a fan of that season.
I think it was a work of art. I think it was a true work of art.
You enjoy Master of One for sure.
I thought this 67 scenes of Lena Waithe kind of like frustratingly smoking pot.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Each one different.
Absolutely brilliant.
Each one a unique pot.
And then the 4 or 5 scenes per episode where they would like reconcile by lying in the bath together. Genius.
Yeah. We gotta start it.
Aziz, I think, master of me. Master of my fandom. Am I right?
Master of John. Season 3. Yeah. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, that one was tough.
Wow. That's where she's from. Incredible.
However, she might be the best part of that show. Like,
yeah. So, is that her planet that blows up? Kijimi?
No, Kijimi is the one where Zori is.
Okay. My bad.
Which again is like.
So 100% all the children are dead.
Zori only escaped with Babu Frick. So she gave the coin up and was like, fuck all of y'all. I'm leaving with the little guy because he can fit in my spaceship because he's tiny. Ha-ha. And yeah, that's why he's cheering, because he's like, I'm glad she chose me. Anyway, that's enough about that. Rey takes Ren's ship, flies off to Exegol, and is like, I found it. Woo, see, fuck you, everybody. And then...
Can I also ask...
Yeah, go on.
Did Kylo Ren just choose his own name, or...
No,
was it like
Snoke would have probably given him in that naming.
When he was like, your name is Ben, no longer, now it is Ren. Is it possible that and then he's like, oh, it's too similar to Ben.
Like, too late, I've already written it on the piece of paper.
Was it like a lo and behold?
I've already entered it onto your profile. Yeah, whatever.
Rough,
I have no idea. I don't know the legend behind that, and it's better left unexplained.
Good.
So she takes off, and then Isaac and Boyega return to the rebels and are like, "Hey, we got to go to Exegol. We got to follow her because that's how we get there." Mm-hmm. This other little droid, if we stick a little droid dick in him, he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
To get to Exegol, we'll put out a distress signal. We'll gather all the people. We'll have a big ass fight. And then fucking Meriadoc Brandybuck in the background is like...
What is he doing in this? Mary, what the fuck are you doing in this film?
He also says like the dumbest thing where he's like, we should pull some Holdo maneuvers, which is the suicide ram thing. And I was like, yeah, is it really smart? Everyone just commit suicide, just kamikaze themselves in the face of absurd odds.
It is for the revolution or whatever.
Also...
Rebellion.
I don't know if I've read this, but maybe it's something I've read somewhere. That does feel like a knock at Rian Johnson because it's kind of like the Holdo maneuver is kind of like a silly idea, but it does kind of feel like it's like aimed at the previous movie being like, what a dumb movie. And it's like, well, Last Jedi is not good, but this movie's not like that much better.
Yeah,
like, you know,
simmer down.
Like you're not the fucking Godfather, so chill out.
Okay.
But like, it's just such a dumb, like thrown off thing where you're just kind of like, yeah, let's all commit suicide. That would be really cool. That would be a smart thing to do in this situation. Fucking go back to fucking Middle Earth, you idiot.
We have.
I'm just kidding. I really love that actor.
We've
He's
not
great,
spoken of an equally lovable character on that side of the bad world. A very wonderful, very ginger Donald Gleason.
Oh, Donald. That's because he gets fucked in this movie too.
He's so hammy.
Oh, but he was hammy in all of the movies.
You can't help but hate him. It's great. He's so.
But then he just gets shot by fucking Richard. What's his name?
Yeah, the guy from the fucking It.
From every British film ever made.
Yeah, one of the Doctor Who's, probably. He is amazing, and I don't think he's dead.
He gets blown the fuck up.
I know,
bro.
but they show it from so far away.
No, he could have escaped.
So, and also, Palpatine calls him to come to him. He calls a human guy.
I'm gonna say no on that.
I think he's gonna give him extra juice power, and he's gonna be
slip
like
his little single-celled organism into his mouth.
Right in his mouth. He's gonna get one pinky finger in there and be like,
stick it right in his mouth.
Suck on my nail. And now you are the Palpatine.
Suck on my lightning nail. Yeah.
Get some of this Palpussy, baby. Yeah. Oh, gross.
So there's a I mean, frankly, like spectacular battle scene. Like I love it. I think it's great.
Fantastic.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of great shit going on, and then they're getting their asses handed to them, and then the rest of the galaxy shows up, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" Fucking Wedge Antilles from the original film is great little fucking cameo.
Yeah.
And Ren and Rey kill Pal. I actually think that aspect of it is kind of boring. Like I don't.
There's a lot of emotive moments, and we kind of got through the plot, but there's one where
plot is in air quotes.
A plot, but there's one where she stabs Kylo Ren.
Right. Yeah. And
at the same time that Leia dies.
Yeah.
And
then she heals him.
But when there's a pause when you see like a silhouette of Leia and she just says Ben's name, and then there's like a quiet moment, and that sequence I entirely watched it on mute on my phone, and I just had subtitles on, but it got me.
It's good, and
it's so fucking beautiful.
You know she died right during production.
Yeah,
which is very effective because like. Everyone knew she had passed away before the movie came out, and it's tremendously effective the first time you saw it because it is.
Oh my god!
It's clearly, I think the silhouette is not Leia, like not Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
But they play it in a way that it's really respectful and good to her memory.
So fucking well done. Teared up. It was just
it's very
so
good.
effective.
It's sweet.
And And then doubly so when she heals Ren.
Yeah, and the Han Solo cameo is nice too.
Oh,
really sweet.
Another tearjerker. Like every scene with Adam Driver had incredible payoff in this film.
He's good, yeah.
He's been maybe kind of annoying in the other ones, but in this,
Marriage Story? God.
What a full arc for this guy, man.
Yeah.
Like a 180.
Yeah.
Really great. Good job, Adam. Maybe try films. I don't know. Try TV.
Yeah, has he done anything since?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was in 65. So
the after earth of our people.
Yeah. Huge battle scene.
Yeah.
Ben dies. Little kiss at the end there. And then a big celebration. I mean, that's it kind of. And then Rey buries the lightsabers and she's like, I'm Rey Skywalker. Bye.
Cool. There's also a fucking great scene when ultimately when Kylo Ren dies, his body just into the ground, like he's gone.
Yeah.
At the same time, they cut to and Leia's body under the sheet is also gone, and it's just flat.
Yeah, that's the Force death.
Really?
Yeah. I have to say.
So does that mean this character is absolutely never coming back? Like Kylo Ren gone?
I think so. I mean, I would. It would be nice if they didn't. I think. Would Driver really be like, yeah, I want to hop back in? Like, I don't think so.
No,
I feel like him and Isaac just wouldn't really. He's got to make Ferrari the Ferrari trilogy.
The third.
Yeah. I have to say, like, something. I really like the ending. I like the Rey Skywalker thing. I know a lot of people don't, but I like the way that it's on Tatooine. It's right there, and it shows Leia and Luke as ghosts, which is like symbolic because they were symbolic of the twin sons of Tatooine in the first film, which the dual sunset scene in Star Wars A New Hope is like one of my favorite scenes in any film. Like, nice. I think it's beautiful. And I have to say, I get a little choked up in episode 3 at the very end when they repeat that scene with Obi-Wan Kenobi and like baby Luke, or no, it's not. It's Joel Egerton and his wife and baby Luke staring at the sun too. I think that's a brilliant fucking ending to that movie as well. Episode 3 is great. I love it, and I love the last 10 minutes of it. I think are some of the best Star Wars
effective,
stuff.
So emotional.
And I like how they echo that at the end of this film by like, because they're symbolically the twins, and then they're twins, and then now they're dead twins.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
and this is maybe outside of Star Wars itself, but when they like Carrie Fisher would have obviously been like, finish this franchise and however many you need to using my face and my likeness and all that stuff. I wonder, and I ask this because do you think for Black Panther they would have wanted Chadwick Boseman? Like, is that obviously a family has to consent to all that stuff?
I think that would be tactless.
But then, do you what is the difference from something like Leia's character and then his by Black Panthers?
Well, I don't. What do you mean? What is the difference?
Like if they bring back and do like a CGI'd face.
Well, my personal issue with that is like, yes, consent with the estate of Chadwick Boseman or Carrie Fisher would obviously be a problem, but I'm also kind of like the issue I have with a lot of those instances is that like it's like, man, there's lots of fucking performers out there, man. Like, we don't need stand-ins to make a bad CGI face of a person.
But it's the nostalgia.
I know, but it never really works on me. And I just don't think that it's really worth it because it's just kind of like, and it's just like, we have lots of history of cinema where we've gotten by without it. Like, it wasn't that long in the past when you had like a dual timeline story. It was like you had a different old man actor playing fucking this person.
I'm young Nicolas Cage playing old Nicolas Cage.
We talk about The Irishman a lot, but it's like they do this thing where you're just kind of like, okay, I get it. De Niro is not 25. But would that make The Irishman a better movie if they had done that? Like, who knows? I don't fucking know. But like with this stuff, it's kind of like, I think also the advantage is like Leia's story is pretty much over. Like, this is the conclusion of it.
Yeah, of course.
Mark Hamill is still alive, bless his heart. But his story is pretty much over too. So they don't really have to worry too much about that, I don't think. But then again, they bring they make a young Luke in The Mandalorian.
They make a young Luke even in this film when they show a flashback.
And a young Leia,
Yeah. What does that stuff for a Star Wars fan like yourself, does that excite you to see?
No.
a young CG Luke.
I just think Solo was successful by casting Alden Ehrenreich as a young Solo.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
I agree.
You don't have to be visually tricked into believing it.
Yeah.
You just have to. The people who make the movies have to be like, that's Han Solo.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, got it. We're all adults here. We all,
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't really. That I think in. Did you see The Mandalorian 2? The end of it where they bring Luke, like a young Luke.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing. Yeah,
I think that's a really cool idea.
But I thought it was awesome because then someone who's an outsider.
The idea is cool enough that they could have cast someone who looks like him.
Yeah.
And with his garb and everything,
enough.
and you could have been like, I get it.
That's
I get
young
who
Luke.
that is.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
It's just so exciting. It's because it's still new-ish and not a lot of films do it. But to your point, if everybody starts doing the thing where they face paint an existing or older character as a younger one in everything, or CGI an obviously now aged character into a younger one, it would just be like, just cast a younger person.
I know. I like.
Fuck it. Just cast someone else.
We talked about like it makes sense in something like Dial of Destiny because that's a multi-timeline, like a multi-time story where it's like you tell a prologue where he's young and then he gets very old, and so it's like kind of okay. But like if you were gonna be like, I'm gonna do another Indiana Jones, it's like, well, don't look. Harrison Ford does not want to come back, so don't call him for fuck's sake. Just cast a new guy and fucking let's get it go. Like Solo, I think is a perfect example. I just think it's good.
Yeah.
All right, is that enough? I've had enough.
I had a question for you.
It's Jabba.
God
That's
damn
the
it.
answer. No matter what your question was,
So
it's Jabba the Hutt.
Man. Isn't Jabba just like a longer version of Babu Frick?
He's a much larger.
Do you think Babu Frick is a little horny guy?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was hanging out with
The hottie from Americans.
Carrie Preston.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Carrie Prescott. Carrie from Americans.
Captain Prescott is her name. What's her fucking name?
We gotta find
Kelly
out.
Preston?
Holy shit.
No, that's a different person.
It's going to bother us if we don't find this out right now.
And then we can end once we have disrespected her for this long.
Her name is Kerry Russell.
Kerry Russell. Babu Frick and Kerry Russell are definitely getting it on.
Yeah.
We've always said that. You heard it here first. The rumors are true. Thanks for listening.
It's been the low ceiling.
It has been the low ceiling.
I'm Preet.
This movie has qualified.
And you're John.
Big red stamp qualification.
100%. Low as hell.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.